When people today talk about the Second World War, there are many parts of the conflict that continue to generate debate, curiosity, and confusion. But there is one subject where the world rarely argues, and that is the reputation of the SS. Even decades after the war ended, the SS remains a symbol of brutality, terror, and cruelty. Yet a question sometimes appears: was the SS really as brutal as history says, or did wartime propaganda exaggerate their crimes? To answer this fairly, we need to look not at myths, not at emotion, but at documented behavior, structures, decisions, and actions carried out by this organization. Because only then can we understand whether their reputation comes from fantasy or from reality. The deeper we explore the SS, the clearer it becomes that their reputation was not the product of propaganda, but the result of their actual conduct, decisions, and system of operation. The SS did not start as a regular military group. They were not originally meant to stand on battlefields or carry out operations like a traditional army. When the SS was created, they were built as a political force, specifically as the security arm of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Their earliest role was to protect Hitler, enforce party discipline, and impose the ideology of Nazism. That foundation matters because it shaped how the SS evolved. The organization was created to be loyal not to the German army, not to Germany as a country, and not to any military traditions of old Prussia, but to one man and one ideology. Their structure was built on obedience, racial beliefs, and the idea that violence was simply another political tool. This alone begins to explain how their actions later became so extreme. They were trained not as soldiers, but as ideological enforcers. Their purpose was not defense, but domination. Their morality came not from conscience, but from political loyalty. As the Nazis expanded their power, the SS expanded its role. They absorbed the Gestapo, controlled the concentration camps, oversaw political policing, and carried out tasks far outside normal military operations. Eventually, the SS split into multiple branches. One branch dealt with administrative control. Another branch handled racial policy. Another branch, the Waffen-SS, became the combat wing that fought on the front lines. But the most infamous branch was the one involved in implementing the Holocaust, running the concentration camps, conducting political arrests, suppressing opposition, and carrying out mass murder. To understand whether the SS was as brutal as described, we need only look at what they did with the power they held. The clearest place to begin is the Holocaust. It was the SS that built, designed, organized, and operated the entire system of concentration camps and extermination camps. This was not a side project. This was not something they stumbled into. It was their core operation. The SS planned the deportations. They organized the trains. They designed the gas chambers. They selected prisoners on arrival. They chose who lived long enough to work and who died immediately. They controlled the guards, the schedules, the punishments, the food rations, the forced labor policies, and the executions. Their purpose was not simply to imprison people, but to destroy entire populations. The numbers alone tell the story. 6.5 million Jews murdered, along with millions of others, including Roma, disabled individuals, political prisoners, captured resistance fighters, and people who simply did not fit the Nazi image of a desirable citizen. The scale was not the work of chaotic brutality. It was systematic, organized, planned, and executed with precision. The SS also created and commanded special killing units known as the Einsatzgruppen. These units followed the German army into Eastern Europe after the invasion of the Soviet Union. Their task was simple and horrifying: eliminate Jewish communities, political officers, intelligentsia, and anyone the Nazis viewed as a threat. They traveled from town to town, rounding up civilians, forcing them to dig their own graves, and executing them in mass shootings. Historians estimate that these units alone murdered over 1 million people before the extermination camps began full operation. This happened far from battlefields, far from military necessity, and far from any situation where soldiers could claim confusion or fear. These were organized killings carried out by people whose orders came directly from the highest levels of the SS. The brutality of these units is one of the clearest pieces of evidence that the SS was exactly as violent as history remembers. Another major branch of the SS was the Waffen-SS. the combat wing. Although they fought on front lines like regular German soldiers, their behavior often distinguished them from the Wehrmacht. In many cases, Waffen-SS troops were known for executing prisoners of war, killing civilians during military operations, and carrying out reprisals that were far harsher than those committed by the regular German army. Their training emphasized ideological loyalty over military ethics. They were taught to obey orders without question and to see their enemies as subhuman. This attitude led to war crimes in France, Poland, the Soviet Union, the Balkans, and multiple other regions. The Waffen-SS saw themselves as elite fighters, but their actions often crossed the line into outright brutality. By the end of the war, the Allies had gathered enormous amounts of evidence from captured documents, survivor testimony, intercepted communications, and physical sites of crimes. This evidence left little room for interpretation. The SS had committed crimes not because individual soldiers lost control, but because the organization itself was designed to carry out violent policies. The brutality was not accidental. It was part of the system. It was written into orders, taught in training, and accepted as normal. After the war, the Nuremberg trials examined the SS not just as individuals, but as an organization. One of the most significant outcomes was the declaration that the SS was a criminal organization. This was not done lightly. It was based on the conclusion that the SS, by its structure and purpose, was responsible for crimes against humanity on a scale unmatched in modern history. It is important to understand why some people later questioned whether the SS's reputation had been exaggerated. Some believe that wartime propaganda, especially from the Allies, had painted the SS in the darkest possible terms to fuel support for the war. Others believe that after the war, the world needed a single villain to focus blame on, and the SS became that target. But when we examine the evidence, these arguments do not hold. The majority of documentation about SS crimes did not come from Allied propaganda. It came from the Nazi regime itself. The Nazis kept detailed records, including transportation lists, camp logs, construction orders, execution reports, and even photographs of mass shootings. Survivors' accounts match these documents. Independent investigations match them. There is no credible historical research suggesting that their brutality was exaggerated. If anything, early evidence underestimated the scale of the crimes. Another reason for confusion comes from misunderstanding the difference between the regular German army and the SS. Some people believe that because not every German soldier committed atrocities, the SS must have been similar. But the two were not the same. The SS had a different command structure, different responsibilities, and different ideological training. While the regular German army fought conventional battles, the SS carried out political violence, mass murder, and racial policy. The brutality of the SS was not a side effect of war. It was the purpose of the organization. The question of whether the SS was as brutal as described also touches on the psychology of the members. Many of them believed in the ideology of Nazism. They were taught that violence was justified. They were taught to see entire groups of people as inferior or dangerous. They were told that their actions would build a new world for the German race. This ideological training made brutality easier to accept. When people believe violence serves a higher purpose, they are more likely to participate in or justify it. In the NSCS, ideology was not a suggestion, it was a requirement. Members were selected for loyalty and trained to think in terms of race, purity, and obedience. This created a mindset where cruelty became normal. The brutality of the SS also came from their sense of power. They operated outside the traditional legal system. They answered directly to Himmler and above him, to Hitler. They could arrest without trial, imprison without explanation, and execute without oversight. When people operate without consequences, violence often escalates. The SS had no internal checks. They were granted authority to carry out policies that were inherently violent. When unlimited power combines with ideological training, the result's extreme brutality. The final layer of understanding comes from the aftermath. After the war, many former SS members attempted to minimize their roles or claim they were only following orders. But the trials exposed how deeply involved they were. Commanders testified, documents were presented, survivors identified perpetrators. The evidence clearly established the SS's responsibility in organizing and implementing the Holocaust. The organization's actions were not exaggerated, but were in fact one of the most thoroughly documented atrocities in history. When we step back and look at the entire picture, the reputation of the SS becomes understandable. It is not the result of propaganda or exaggeration. It is the result of actions that were planned, systematic, and carried out on a massive scale. The brutality was not occasional. It was routine. It was built into the design of the organization. The SS was brutal because brutality was its purpose. The Holocaust was not possible without the SS. The Einsatzgruppen could not have killed without the SS. The concentration camps could not have operated without the SS. The policies of Hitler's regime could not have been enforced without the SS. In the end, the conclusion becomes clear. The world did not exaggerate the brutality of the SS. If anything, history continues to reveal that their crimes were even more extensive than originally understood. Their actions were documented by themselves, testified to by survivors, proven in courts, and verified by modern research. There is no serious historical debate about the nature of their organization. They were exactly as brutal as history says, because brutality was not an accident of war, but the very foundation of their existence.